Hello and welcome to another video. Since my previous post and accompanying video, this is the post for it, tried to help you all get a bit more familiar with the programming environment and how it works, I felt that it was most appropriate to introduce you all to two web resources for learning how to program specific languages. I'm going to start off by showing you all how SoloLearn works and what it's like to use it. So as you can see now, I'm signed into my personal SoloLearn account and we're presented with a lot of information. The majority of which are achievements, which I'll have to add is a nice touch, but the true value in this website lies within each programming language's program and how others can contribute to that experience for the benefit of learners like you and I. So by now you might be wondering, what are you talking about, Chris? And now I'll show you what I'm talking about by opening up the Java course. So when you open up the Java course, this is what you'll see. There are a total of 6 topics, and after delving into each of these and doing all of their required specifics, you should have a pretty good idea of how to program in this language. So here we are in the basics concept section of the Java program, and we can see that there are a bunch of sections that precede a quiz at the end. This is how all of these sections work, and it's great to take this quiz seriously and try to score as highly as you can on it in order to enforce what you have learned in this section, or the other sections for that matter. So here we are in basic concepts, and I just want to show you the introduction section. In general, this is the format you'll come across when trying to learn a programming language on their website. So you'll start a section and you'll be introduced to that section, which has its slew of information. You have the ability to view some comments, and here's just a preview of what that would look like. You have a Q&A section that you can click on, which would open up another window. You would use this to search for questions or answers or post your own question. And finally, for this information type slide, you have the option to continue. And when you continue from there, you'll be presented with a question. This question is designed to quiz you on the information you just learned about. So now this is your chance to test your knowledge. So we're going to check this box and see if this is the right answer. Look at that. We got it correct. Upon answering the question, whether your response was correct or incorrect, you have the ability to view comments and reply to others. This is most helpful when you have a particular question, or maybe you just wanted to delve a little bit more into the topic matter. The comments section is the discussion which you have the ability to join in for every single question or every single explanation slide you come across. In my opinion, this is an invaluable resource and is truly what makes this site great. In the previous example, you were exposed to a multiple choice quiz. While they are convenient forms of testing your knowledge, we know that programming is not a bunch of multiple choice questions, but rather a specific art that utilizes the keyboard for typing. So it won't be uncommon for you to come across quiz questions like this one. So for example, if you wanted to answer this question, you'd actually have to type out your answer. So we're being told to declare an integer variable named var, so I know to put in int, and we're being asked to set its value to 5, so we put in 5. And now we can check our answer to see that we are correct. And in general, that's how you'll be moving through the topics of a programming language. Get through to all the sections within a topic, and you get to make it to that module's quiz. The quiz for that chapter, module, section, whatever you'd like to call it, is a bit more complex in its delivery and requires more thought in order to pass it. After doing every module's quiz, you'll eventually get a certificate which you can use to show off your achievements in said programming language. Again, I do want to say that SoloLearn is a great web resource you can use to learn a slew of programming languages. Of them, here are a handful. And the best part about this web service is they have mobile applications for Android, which is what I'm showing you here, and iOS, making programming easily accessible for most of us. Codecademy is a similar web resource for learning programming code and takes different approaches to teaching you how to program. But before I get into those specifics, I'd just like to show you what it's like to start a course on Codecademy. So we can see here, at least for Java, we've got 4 sections in their so-called syllabus. And in these sections, for free, we're offered 1 interactive lesson, at least for Java. There are some, as you can see here, pro features integrated into this Java program. These are projects or quizzes that come at an extra premium, which offer ways to practice what you've learned in that chapter. Without further ado, here is the environment that you're exposed to. Vastly different from that of SoloLearn's, and in my opinion, a lot better because of how realistic it is. From my previous video, you may recognize this layout, and that is because this is an actual Java compiler. What this means is that you can code in this space and run it in order to see what that would return for you in the console. We can see that there is a written section that sort of explains what you need to know, and sometimes a list of instructions that will tell you what you should type in or suggest what you should type in order to accomplish something based off of what you've learned here. They also have forums, just like SoloLearn does, for learning or asking questions, and this is what it looks like. And now I'd like to show you what it's like to participate in one of Codecademy's lessons. So I've already done this one, so I'm just going to move ahead a couple questions and reset the exercise so that I can demonstrate it for you all. So here is the section on variables. As you can see, we're greeted with a bunch of information and even sometimes screenshots. And we have a bunch of code that's already given to us. And now it's up to us to alter this code so that it compiles whatever it is that they're looking for. So in this section, we have some pretty straightforward instructions, which we must follow in order to proceed. So here we're being asked to set the variable myNumber, which is of type int, equal to the value of 42. We can look for that here and set its value to 42. After doing that, you can move on to the second piece of instruction, which now tells us to set the Boolean variable named isFun to a value of true. And now finally, we have to set the variable named movie_rating of type char, which is actually shorthand for character, and set it equal to A. And once you finish with your code, you can go ahead and run it for the final time. And from there, the next button would be flashing, as you can see here, and you can proceed to the next lesson. You would then continue through until you get to the last section of the chapter that you're on. And in general, the last section is going to ask you to apply all of the knowledge you've gained from that chapter. And with that, you would have completed the first chapter, and you can move on to the second, third, and fourth chapters. The last thing I wanted to show you was a neat affordance that this web service provides to all of its users, and that is the ability to not follow directions and type whatever code you'd like to type and have it compile. It's even developed enough to tell you when you have errors. So, in this case I forgot a semicolon, and I'll just run this again, and we'll see that Gilberto has been posted to the console, as well as my custom message, which appears here. So with that last point being said, that wraps up everything I have to show you for Codecademy, and by extension, this video. I want to take the time to thank you all for tuning in this far, or at least in some of the sections of this video. I highly encourage you to seek out one or both of these web services now or in the future. The use of these web services will get you started on our programming languages and teach you a thing or two about them. With Codecademy, you have a very interactive programming environment that you get to type things into and see the result of in the console. And with SoloLearn, you have the convenience of using the application on your mobile device. If you haven't already and are interested in doing so, check out my website, and more specifically the code column section, where I have generated a pretty large post on programming basics and even included a video supplement here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.